Welcome back everyone to the Blender Creator course, Stylized 3D Models, and this is where we left it off. Alright, so let's carry on building this up. So let's get this final bit up here. What we can do with this, you can either grab these parts of wood or you can put new parts in. You can spin them around and things and just make sure that they're looking different. I'm just looking there to make sure that they look a bit different. So what I'll do is I'll come to my Asset Manager. And I think what I'll do is I'll make sure, first of all, does that one look a little bit different from this one? Or is it the same? Yeah, I think it looks different enough. So let's put on the top bit first. So I'm going to come in and grab 2.5 and grab a 3. So I'll pull this one up. I'm going to press 1 on the number pad. And I'm going to pull it into roughly the place where I want it, which is somewhere around just fitting on top of there. And then I'm going to do the same with this, like so, and pull that into place, like so. And then what I'm going to do is now I'm going to pull this back to here, like so. And I want to make sure that with this part, it's just going over this part. So you can see it's a little bit not quite high enough, needs to be just over, like so. And then the same with this. So if I now pull that up a little bit, pull it out, like so. And then what I want to do is I want to pull this out a little bit. So S and X, like so. And I also want to just make sure that this is not the same as this, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is R, X, 90. And now I can see it's the same as that one. So RX90. And now we can see it's completely different. Again, with this one, do they look the same? We can see this one doesn't look the same. This one doesn't look the same either. So that's good. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to steal this one. Shift D. Drag it up. And this, of course, is going to go right next to this part here. Like so. Double tap the A, and there we go. And I think I'll just spin this one around as well. So RY90, now it looks different. All right, so that's that. Now on the top part, we're not actually going to be having these blocks, for instance. We're going to make this one probably a little bit bigger, different, and then put the tops on these parts. So in other words, these are going to be mainly wood going up here. So we can see that we've got blocks here. We don't want another block up there. We want to make it a little bit different. So first of all, I'm going to grab this one to make it a little bit different. You should always think about how you can vary your building. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pull this part back a little bit like so. And then have it go back a little bit like so. Double tap the A. And I think if I pull it back a little bit more, like so. And then what I'll do is I'll try and pull this out just a tad. Double tap the A. And there we go. I think that's looking a little bit of variation there. All right, so now let's think about these top bits. So we might be able to get away with 2.5. Let's have a look. So I'm going to bring in a 2.5, like so. I'm going to bring in another 2.5, like so. You can see how I drag those on very, very easily. So I'm going to put this up to the top of here. And first of all, I'm going to make sure it's fitting in place. So in other words, it's going to fit on top of there. So you can see I've got a fair bit of work here to make sure that the height of this is going to be okay. Because I think I'm going to keep this height. So I think I'm going to have this height that it is. And what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to lift up my roof just to fit on top of there like so. Because I think that's going to be much better. Look, it gives a much better look with the height on there. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to bring it across. So Shift D, let's bring it over into there. I'm going to spin it round then. So RY 180. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin it around again. So RZ 90, like so. And then I'm going to pull this bit out. So Shift D. And then obviously I need to spin it around again. So RZ 90. And now we can see that that one's facing that way and that one's facing that way. We can't see they look the same at all. The one thing we can see though is that we need to pick it up a little bit because it wasn't sat on there properly. There it is. And now we can put this one in place over here. And we want to sit this right on top of there. We still want to keep to our corners. So even if we've got a little bit, you know, sticking out like that, that's absolutely fine. Like so. I would say though, maybe that needs pulling out just a little bit to give us some edge down there. Again with this one also might need pulling out a little bit, but we'll see when we get to this part. That's basically what you've got to do anyway. You've got to, you know, change them around a lot. All right, so now let's come up and what we'll do is we'll grab our wall. Do we have a wall in there? No, we don't. So we need to grab this wall here. Right in there. We can grab it. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift D. And because you can't see this wall, there's no point actually altering it. You just want to make sure it's tall enough. So I'm going to press S and Z, pull it out. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make sure it's not, you know, sticking through the bottom of there. And then all I'm going to do is press Shift D. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to press S and Z, making sure that it's in the right place. And I'm going to delete off this face. So delete faces. And there is my wall. Let's pull it out a little bit. Pull it into place. And there it is. And then what we'll do is we'll grab this wall. I'm going to press Shift D. Bring it up. Make it a little bit smaller. So S and Z like so. And then I'm going to come in. I'm going to grab the top, side, delete, faces. And then we'll do the same with this one. So Shift D. And what you're looking for when you're doing this is to have variation pretty much every single wall face. That's the aim. So S and X, pull it out like so. And then let's come into this part and this part, delete faces. And there we go. Let's save out our work. And now what we need to do is just change these around. So I'm going to come into this one and this one. I'm going to go to my shading panel like so. I'm going to press Tab, press G, move those around, making sure they look a little bit different from the ones below, which they do now. And double tap the A. And there we go. I think I'm very, very happy with how that looks so far. Now let's look at just this top bit here. This is a bit harder to do, and the reason is because obviously you're going to have a roof on here, and before you do this top bit you want to make sure that you've got your roof on, because it's going to make it much easier. The other thing is you don't need to put the tiles on. You can actually just put the wood on, but it is easier if you actually put the tiles on first. But I think what we'll do is we'll come back down to this part down here, and what I'm going to show you is how we actually make these parts look different. So for instance, if I press 1 at the moment, we can see that on this part of the wall, we've got a window of some kind. On this part of the wall, we're going to have another window. On these parts here, they're just walls and they're very tiny, but we can actually put a bit of broken wall in here. So we'll do that. On this part, we've got a door, this part, we've got a window, and as we move up, we've got a window, and then we're going to have a piece of wood coming across here. So we'll do a couple of things first. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll grab this part of wood here. I'm going to press Shift D. I'm going to move it over, pick it up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate it. So I'm going to press R, Z, 180, spin it round, and then I'm going to press R and Y and just spin it round like so. And then I'm just going to put this part in here. Now at the moment, this is a little bit too small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And then what I'm going to do then is just pull it back a little bit. So S and Y, make it a little bit thinner. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick that into my wall like so. And you can see just how nice that looks just doing that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift D. I'm going to press R, Z, 180. And we can see that now when I put this here, it's going to look completely different, while at the same time making the wall look really nice and different from the other parts. All right, so I'm happy with that. Now let's talk about this broken piece of wall here. and we also need to put in the bottom planks as well into the floor. Okay, so let's press 1, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this wall here, and I'm going to press the I'm going to press tab, so I've got face select on, and then what I'm going to do, I'll cut it away and then I'll show you what I did, because it's quite hard to visualize. So what I'm going to do is press tab, I'm going to press K, and what that's going to do is it's going to bring me a knife tool in, but you'll notice these are the bottom and tops of the walls. This is the left and this is the right of the wall. If I come to, let's say, something around here, what I can actually do if I click them is just cut away this part of the wall up to there, press the enter button, and now you'll see we've got a beautiful line along there. Now what we can actually do with this is we can actually put our bricks into there. But before I do that, I'm actually going to show you how to use the knife tool, just so you understand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on object mode. I'm going to press Shift A and bring in a plane. So let's bring in a plane. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press 7 to go over the top, because the knife tool is much better if you're like central to it. In other words, if you're looking right over the top from a bird's eye view or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press tab. I'm going to press the K button to bring in the knife tool. And then I'll show you that you can actually click on the edge, left click, left click, left click, left click. You can actually just click around and make any shape you want. Now the thing is, you'll notice as well, when we come up to this top, it actually magnetizes onto that part. Now you might not want that. If you don't want that on, just hold the control button and then it won't actually do that. It's important with the knife tool that you don't leave it here. So in other words, if I leave it in the center and I press enter, you'll see that it ends up cutting in a weird way. We don't really want that. So it's important to come in and cut all the way to the edge. So if I cut to that edge, now you'll see we've got a nice cut going along there. Now what this means is, of course, that we now have two parts of our mesh, and on one part we can actually use to do some really, really nice things with. For instance, with our wall, what we're going to use it for is we're going to come in and we're going to extrude it. So if I press E and pull that down, you can see now that we've got a nice extrusion, which is really, really easy to make some broken wall. All right, so now I've showed you that. Now you know how to use the knife tool. Now what we can do is we can go back to this part here where we cut it. We can press the tab button. In fact, what I'll do first is I'll just pull this out a little bit, because at the moment it was a little bit too far back. And then what I'll do is I'll grab this part here. I'm going to press E and pull it back just a little bit, just to give us a sliver of wall. And now if I put it onto material, you'll see, if I press tab, we've still got that on there. Let's right click and shade auto smooth as well. And then what we can do now with this, we can bring in some brick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this. I'm going to press 1 on my number pad. I might actually have to change that actually, because I need to go to Asset Manager now. Let's go to our user library. Let's go to materials, and this is the one that we want to use. So on here, if I press tab now, drop my brick onto here, we'll see that it should, I'm hoping, yes, it didn't do that. I was hoping that we could use our broken wall. So what's happened now is that we've basically put the broken wall onto our wall and changed it for the other one. So what we need to do instead of that is we need to press plus, down arrow, and we should have one that says wall. Let's click that on. Let's then click this arrow to go to the up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to press tab, A to grab everything, assign, and it will get assigned back to that wall. But now we've also got broken wall on here, which now we can go in, grab this wall, press 1 on the number pad, and we're going to assign this broken wall. Now you'll see at the moment, first of all, it's the wrong way around. Second of all, these are huge bricks and we don't really want them that big. So what I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to press U, come down, project from view. What that's going to do is it's going to project it from the way that I'm looking at this now. In other words, if I was looking at this way and I said project from view, you'll see that it looks really, really weird. And that's because it's projecting from a really weird angle. But if I've gone front view, project from view, you can see now that they're nice and straight. One problem we do have is, of course, is that they're really, really chunky, these bricks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to shading panel, and then I'm going to press tab. And what I'm going to do is just grab this bit here. I'm going to pull it out a little bit. So if I press S, I can pull it out a little bit like so, and now fit it into the place that I want it. The one problem that you want to make sure that you don't do is that these bricks need to be the size, roughly, of realistic bricks. So you can see these bricks, they're probably still a little bit too small. So I'm going to come to my wall, come back in and press S and make them a little bit smaller like so. I'm also going to press G and Y, and then I'll be able to move these up and down and holding the shift button to where I actually want them. Now if I press tab, double tap the A, you can see those bricks, they're about the right size. And if I bring my guy back down to where it was and then put lighting on, so let's have the scene lit, you'll see now, hey, they're looking pretty nice. They're actually going as part of the scene. You can see it looks as though it's really cut away, and you can see that these bricks have a lot of three-dimensional qualities to them. All right, so that's that part. Now, I'm thinking on the next lesson that it'll be better if we actually build a window. So let's build a window out, and then we can use that window to base everything else off, and it will keep things fresh, as I said. All right, everyone, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.